Hey guys, so I put out a call for questions about 2 weeks ago, and you guys responded with some really awesome questions, so I'm going to answer them now. I'm just going to be looking at my phone. I'm so matchy today. So I'm going to be looking down at my phone, just answering the questions that you guys had for me. I'm not going in any particular order. I'm just kind of scrolling through the comments, answering questions. So the first one that I see says, did you ever think you'd become an inspiration for people? You've inspired me to take back my life from debt. Out of anyone, you are the most relatable. Well, thank you so much. And no, I never, I mean, it's like from, I don't know, like I'm always like so modest about things. I'm like, I'm not an inspiration. Like I'm just a person telling my story and, you know, hopefully adding some motivation, I guess, you know, but, I can understand like why people, you know, see me that way. That's why whenever the Dave Ramsey people contacted me about doing like our debt-free story video on their channel, I honestly, like, when I responded back to the guy, I was like, I'm not worthy. Like, what are you talking about? Like, why do you want to talk to me? Like, come on, you know? So, it's hard for me to kind of, like, have that, like, mindset, I guess. But I can understand, like, why people think that. Because, you know, we are debt-free, and I'm telling my story, and that acts as inspiration to other people. So, no, I didn't think I would ever be, you know, a motivation for other people, but I can understand like how I am, if that makes any sense. Okay, next question. How does it feel having thousands in an emergency fund compared to $1,000 in the emergency fund? So like instead of baby step 1, I'm on baby step, you know, or I have baby step 3 done. I can't wait to log onto my account and see 20 grand sitting in there. So of course it feels amazing because you know, $1,000, you know, Dave Ramsey talks about this, about having, you know, $1,000 in your emergency fund while you're paying off your debt. And even though this isn't like a ton of cash, it's not intended to, you know, be a fully funded emergency fund. It's really only supposed to be there to catch the little things while you're paying off your debt. But once you become debt free, and then you can, you know, beef it up to baby step 3, where you have 3 to 6 months of an emergency fund, it feels incredible. It feels amazing to be able to be debt free and to have, you know, thousands of dollars, you know, in an account that's just sitting there for emergencies, you know. So if we, you know, whenever we buy our home, for example, if we are living there for, you know, for however long, and the air conditioning goes out, I am not going to just totally freak out like I would have 6 years ago. I mean, I would have probably gone into like an absolute like meltdown, like panic attack, thinking, how are we going to pay for this? Oh my gosh, you know. But we have an emergency fund, and we can just write a check and take care of it that day, and then maybe, you know, spend a little time beefing it back up to where it needs to be. But you know, it's like you just totally go about your day differently. And Dave talks about this in his book, The Total Money Makeover. It was kind of like a funny part where he talked about how whenever they're paying off their debt, they had their hot water heater went out at their house. And he said this was a big, huge, hairy deal because it was like $500. And he said, but now, you know, after we've become, you know, wealthy again, he said that the hot water heater went out last week in my house and I replaced it. And he goes, and I hardly even noticed because it was just nothing compared to, you know, what their wealth was. And that kind of makes me laugh because I kind of had the same thing happen to us whenever we're in our old house. We're paying off our debts, and our hot water heater started to leak, and it was leaking so bad that it was like going through the sheetrock, because the way it was like in our garage, it was like up on this like sheetrock box kind of thing, and so it was going into the wall. And so we had to like take out the sheetrock, and I was having to like change like the pans out from underneath it like every few, you know, days or whatever until we could, you know, take the money and, you know, get a new one. And it was like, you know, a big deal. But now, you know, if we had a house and if our hot water heater went out, like it wouldn't be a big deal at all. So that's why having an emergency fund feels so great, because it's like you don't even notice this stuff anymore, because it's just compared to, you know, the wealth that you have with an emergency fund, it's just not that big of a deal. Okay, next question. If you had to choose one meal, food to eat every day for a year, what would it be? Super duper easy. Also, it would be for all 3 meals a day, nothing else for a year. Okay, totally easy. A cheeseburger with french fries and like a soda or like a milkshake or something like that. Like that's my favorite food. Like it's just like cheeseburger and french fries, like super easy, like super yum, super bad for you, of course, you know, but Yeah, like that would be the one food that I just would not get sick of. And I'm like, okay, cheeseburger for breakfast, cheeseburger for lunch, cheeseburger for dinner, and I'll do it all over again tomorrow. So, okay, next question. Hi there, I'm a big fan of your videos. Well, thank you. How much does your son understand about your budgeting? I love the fact that you must be teaching him really great lessons about finances, and he'll have so many skills in the area when he grows up. So Connor has, I would say at this stage in his life, a very moderate, like, understanding, I guess you could say, of kind of like what we're doing. You know, he has really kind of grown up with this whole Dave Ramsey, debt-free, you know, living. And there's lots of things that he says that kind of make me laugh. Like, you know, he talks about like our old house. He kind of remembers our old house because he was probably like 3 whenever we moved out. And, we'll like pass by it sometimes, like when I'm taking him to school, and he'll say something like, oh, our old house, like I remember that house. He goes, but now we're debt free, or something like that. And so I'm like, okay, so you understand that, you know, mommy and daddy made a sacrifice so that we can become debt free, or we're in a better position now financially. Okay, next question. This is more for your husband, but how did he go to school full time and work full time while getting out of debt? I have no idea. Honestly, my husband is like at a different level than like I am. For example, I've never seen somebody have so much drive. He's a very passionate person. Like, I guess, let me start with that. He's always into like hobbies, and he always is like really into things, and he's very driven, like very driven. And so when he gets his mind on something and he wants to complete it, like he will perfect it by like 200%. Like, he is just very, very driven and very passionate. So when he gets something in his head, he goes for it, and it's not really a problem. Like, yes, of course, it's not easy, you know, going to school and working full time, but it's just something that he decided that he was going to do, and he was going to complete, and he did. Well, he has 5 weeks left of school, and he graduates in December, and it's just a passion that he, you know, again, he just got it in his head that he was going to do it, and he did it. So I always kind of like tease him, like whenever he's starting on a new project or he's going after a big goal, and he's like, you're not worried, you're not like freaked out that I'm not going to accomplish it. And I'm like, I know you, and I know your personality, and it's like, I just don't have to worry about you, because I know that when you set something in motion, you will not only complete it, but it will be in the best, it'll be like the best work of your life, just because that's your personality and that's how you are. So, okay, next question. How did you get that sticker on your cash box? I asked because I want one too. So Dave Ramsey used to have these like bumper sticker, like stickers on his website, and they were only $1, and they were like debt free and loving it, and they were in like blue and green, and another one was like live like no one else, and another one was like act your wage and all that. And I bought like a whole bunch of them, like whenever I would order stuff, and I'd like add on 10 stickers or whatever. And I looked one time on his website and they're gone. So I guess they just ran out, and they haven't decided to put them back on their website. But I really wish that they would, because I love those stickers. We have them everywhere. So I got them from his website, but again, he doesn't sell them anymore. Okay, next question. I've been watching your videos for a year now, and you and your journey are awesome. Thank you. Last week, I was showing one of my friends your YouTube channel and your first video, and I saw that your house that you guys sold was $150,000, and I wonder if you still feel that was the right choice on selling that house. So, yes, I do feel like at that place in our life, it was a smart choice to get out of that mortgage. I have had a little bit of a reality check, though, here in the last few months that we've been house hunting, that the price of that home that we had was really probably pretty okay in comparison to like you know, our area and just like the real estate in our area, but I still feel like selling that home was the right choice, just because we were in a position that we were broke. Even though we had paid off our debt and become debt free, we still didn't have any cash, you know, in our bank account. So I just feel like it would have taken a lot longer to, you know, beef up our emergency fund, because part of the sell of our home, the proceeds from that went towards baby step 3B, and that helped, or I'm sorry, baby step 3, you know, so that helped our emergency fund get to where it was. And another thing was like our house, even though it was newer and pretty and beautiful and everything, at some point there was a few things that we were going to have to address with that house if we wanted to stay in it. Like the air conditioning, for example. Air conditionings, especially in Texas, don't last like a crazy long time. They have like a lifespan of anywhere from 13 to 16 years. And that one in that house was going to be needing to be replaced at some point, and that's an $8,000-9,000 improvement that you have to make to the air conditioning unit, because you have to replace everything. And we'd even had it looked at, and like our AC guy was like, yep, but here you probably got 2 more summers out of it before you need to replace it, just because it was kind of like the cheap one that the builder put in whenever they built the home. Another thing was like the fence was really starting to get into a bad condition, and that would need to be replaced. So there was a lot of things that we were going to have to improve and upgrade and pay for, and we just were not in a position to do that. We really wanted to keep on with the baby steps, and the taxes in that area were going up quite a bit. And the home value itself, because I check on that kind of stuff, it has increased, but it hasn't increased so much to a point where I feel like we should have stayed. Yeah, so I still feel confident that that decision was the right decision for us. And I'm happy with that choice. But moving forward with buying our next home, again, I've had a little bit of a reality check that, we just don't have houses in our area for $80,000. They just don't exist. So $150,000 minimum is kind of where we're going to have to start off with buying our next home. But this time is a little bit different because we have a nice down payment, and we'll be in an area that we really love. Okay, next question. Will you be going back to school? If so, what degree are you wanting to get? So yes, I am. Now that Matt is going to be finishing up his degree, I'm going to be going to school myself. We've been cash flowing school, and so school's really expensive, so we can't both go at the same time. So he's done, and now it's going to be my turn. I already have an associate's degree in just general studies, but I'm going to be completing my degree in education to be a school teacher, which I'm really excited about. I think it's a great job. It's a great field to be in, and you always need teachers. I've always said that, like, whenever I grow up and I, go get a job, I want to get a job that's always going to be in need. So doctors, police officers, teachers, firefighters, things like that. There will always be a need for those professions. So that's just what I want to do, and I think it would be a great job. Okay, next question. Maybe a little bit personal, so you don't have to answer if you don't want to, but I will. How have you handled waiting to have another child until you're financially ready? And what advice do you have to those who are in a similar situation? So it is absolutely, I don't know, like so having another child is something that I am like really passionate about, and I like have baby fever so bad, but I'm being totally honest when I say this. Us having the debt that we did and like kind of having to like restructure our financial lives absolutely played into waiting to have another baby. And that really bothers me. Like, it really bothers me that I allowed at some point in our lives, like, and I didn't even realize it, that we had all this debt, and we had this debt, and it put a hold on us, adding on to our family. Like, that's horrible. Like, yes, I want to have another baby, and I'm glad that we're like finally in a place where we can say, hopefully that'll happen, at some point in the near future. My advice for other people, and Dave Ramsey even says this, is he says that babies are great. Babies are great. So don't, if it's really gonna like put a huge like dent, in your ability to, pay off your debt faster or whatever, don't wait to have babies, and that's kind of his advice. That's what he says. Yes, there might be a better timing, you can say, okay, maybe in a year and a half or something, but don't wait 10 years because you're trying to get your finances together before you start to have kids, because kids for some people are not a given. You're not just guaranteed to be able to have a baby easily and it be something that's a natural thing. Sometimes you have to do different things. And so my advice is that if you kind of have like a financial plan, you say, okay, in the next 2 years we're going to become debt free, then that's great. But if you have one that's like, okay, it's going to be more like 5 or 8 years, maybe that's something you should start trying for now, because I think babies are great, and I think they're not something you should wait for. Okay, next question. Have you seen Rachel Cruz's new clip system wallet? Do you think you will ever change from your Savvy Sense? So I love my Savvy Sense wallet. I think it's a great product, and I think I've had mine for like 2 years now, and it's still in really great shape. Rachel Cruz's new wallet though looks really, really cute. It's like definitely more like fancy looking, and like her little like RC like little like stamp on there. So I might be purchasing one in the future just to check it out, because it's really cute, and I think the price is very reasonable, and it looks like really cute. So I don't know, I definitely think that I might be making a purchase in the near future for her new wallet. Okay, next question. I know you just completed baby step 3B. Are you starting baby step 4 anytime soon? So technically we're still on baby step 3B. I know I kind of announced it like, yay, we're done, you know, whatever, but technically we're not, because we're still, you know, house hunting, and so we are still putting money into that account every single month. So that's not something that you know, we're done with quite yet. Until we buy our house, we're still putting money into that account, because obviously the bigger the down payment, the better. But once we buy the house and we like make that purchase and that part is completely done, then we will move on to baby step 4, 5, 6, and 7. I'm thinking about buying a new to me car in the next couple of months. I don't want payments, but at the same time, I don't want to be putting a lot of money into a used car. How did y'all come up with the conclusion of getting used vehicles? How is it better to put money into a used vehicle instead of buying a new vehicle? I'm so confused. Help, please. I think a lot of people misunderstand this, and I was the same exact way. But they think that a used car equals major problems, and a used car equals the car is going to break down every 2 weeks, and it's going to be in the shop, and it's going to cost a lot of money. With my vehicle, I purchased my vehicle with 30,000 miles on it. I had financed it. It was like, I think I bought it for like $16,000, and whenever we started to do the baby steps, my car, I only owed like $8,000 on it, or $9,000 at the time. So for our income, my vehicle made sense just to keep it and pay it off, because it wasn't like, it wouldn't change our financial lives if I sold it and bought a $2,000 car or whatever. So we just kept my car and paid it off. My husband had a more expensive truck that he sold, and he bought an older Mustang, but he knows how to work on that kind of stuff. So it was like not an issue to, if it broke down, because he could fix it like with a paper clip. He's just like one of those guys. But for me, what I would suggest for y'all is that if you are kind of feeling nervous about buying a used car and you're not really sure like what kind of car to buy, I would say get a Honda. I've said this before. I've had really great luck with Hondas, and for $5,000 you can buy the same exact car that I'm driving right now, like a 2007 Honda Accord with like 100,000+ miles on it. They're great cars. My car starts up, it drives, it stops, the windows roll up and down. That car runs, and that's all I could ask of it. I'm fortunate, like I said, that my husband is just one of those guys that he can like work on cars, so he keeps up with all of like the fluids and changing of the belt things and rotating the tires and all that kind of stuff. But you know, thankfully it has not had any kind of like major issues. But if it did, and if I had to replace my car, I would probably go out and buy the same exact one. So, okay, next question. Do you and your family have a rough time keeping to your monthly meal plan? Yes, which is exactly why I have to create one to begin with. We are so bad about being like, oh, let's just pick up Chipotle, you know, and that kind of thing. That's why I kind of like started the monthly meal plan, because I'm like, if I don't put something on paper, like we are just going to like go out to eat all the time because we're busy, and it's easy to make that excuse, and especially when you're hungry, you know, you just want to go pick up something real quick, and you know, that you know, issue be resolved immediately. But we were really bad about like going to the grocery store and buying food, and then going out to eat and just spending so much money, you know, on food every single month. So I finally had to say no more, and monthly meal plan, let's stick to it. And we're not always the best at doing that, but I feel like confident whenever I make the meal plan, we have the food, and I'm like, no, we're not doing Chipotle, we're doing lasagna, like let's be good. So some months are easier than others, but for the most part, I try to stick to it to the best of my ability. Doesn't always happen, but I try. So that's the most important part. Okay, what is your name? My name is Kristy, and what is the meaning of your channel name? So I did a video about like what my channel name meant, but I'll say it again. I'm the former Mrs. Jones, which is like the name that I came up with because I didn't want to be like the Joneses anymore. So a lot of people think it's because like I'm divorced or whatever, but it's not. It's because I, at one point in my life, my husband and I, you know, had the nice house and the cars and the whole lifestyle, the white picket fence, you know, happily ever after, but we were financing all of it, you know, none of it was real. And so I just realized one day, you know, after getting on board with Dave Ramsey, that, you know, we are trying to be the Joneses. We're trying to keep up with the Joneses, and I don't want to do that anymore. So I want to be the former Mrs. Jones. I want to kind of go against that. I want to pay off debt and pay, you know, cash for things, and I want to, you know, have more financial security in my life. So I was Mrs. Jones, but I'm now the former Mrs. Jones. So that's what it means. And I'll leave the video up here if you want to check out kind of like how that story came about. Okay, next question. What would you do if you were not afraid? I'm kind of afraid of everything, honestly. I am not like an adrenaline junkie. Like some people really like skydiving or skiing because they like that fast paced like roller coaster type thing. That kind of stuff like scares me to death. Like the idea of jumping out of an airplane and hoping that your parachute works. I would never do that, you know, but some people, you know, it's like that's their thing. So if I had to do something, if I weren't afraid of it, I don't know. I have no idea. The first idea, I guess, or the first thing comes to me is like maybe skydiving, but I just would never. That just scares me to death. So I don't know. Okay, next question. What is one thing that your new house has to have? So it has to have a good school district that it's associated with. That is without a doubt something I'm not going to compromise on. We have seen lots of houses that are like, oh, these are really great, but the school district is not that great. And it's just something I'm not going to compromise on. I was very fortunate that I was in a, you know, pretty good school district growing up, and I had lots of friends and activities, and, you know, and so I really appreciated that experience. And so it's something that Connor will have as well. So it has to have a good school district that it's associated with. And as far as the structure of the home itself, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, and like some extra type of like game room, study, like office room. Matt needs to have an office, so that's something it needs to have. But for the most part, I've said this before, I'm not going to be a brat about like granite countertops or like hardwood floors throughout or stainless steel or things like that. I mean, of course they would be nice, but I'm looking more for like school district, square footage, solid house, good deal. That's what I'm looking for. Okay, next question. After you find a house and move in, what will your next step goal be? So we're just gonna go right along with the baby steps. Once we purchase our home, we are going to immediately go to baby step 4, which is putting 15% of our income into retirement. We do put some money into that account or into our like retirement or whatever, just through like work, and we do have a Roth IRA that's set up that we're funding, but for the most part we're not putting obviously 15% because we are saving for a house, but it'll be like once the house is purchased, then it's like 15% of our income is going towards retirement, and then college for Connor's college savings. So we're just gonna move up the ladder with how the baby steps work. Okay, next question. What would be the best advice for someone who's paying off debt and trying to start a savings? Sometimes I find it completely overwhelming. So if you're doing the Dave Ramsey plan, which I highly recommend, baby step 1 is $1,000 in an emergency fund. Once you do that, you're not saving anything else towards savings. Everything else from that point on is going towards your debt. So don't try to pay off debt and build, you know, a 6-month emergency fund at the same time, because it's not going to work. You're going to get frustrated and it's just not going to work. So $1,000 in a starter baby emergency fund. You can keep that in your bank account. You can withdraw it and put it in a sock underneath your mattress, you know, like whatever it is that works. But $1,000 first, and then you pay off all your debt. And once your debt is paid off, then you do the 3 to 6 months of the like fully funded emergency fund. But don't try to do it at the same time, because it's almost impossible. It'll just take you a million years. Okay, next question. Where do you see yourself in 5 years thanks to living like no one else? So I like this question because, you know, we are like almost 3 years into becoming, or into being debt free, and we are in such a better financial position today because of not having any debt. So I can't imagine honestly where we would be in 5 years from now because of not having any debt. Like, honestly, like only being debt free for 2.5 years, It is such a night and day difference in our financial life. And I really love that Jessica Ashley, because I feel like her and I are pretty similar when it comes to like our finances and where we are in our life and everything. She's another Dave Ramsey channel on here. If you've not heard of her, go subscribe to her and check her out. But she did a video where she was talking about Thomas J. Stanley's book, The Millionaire Next Door, and what her their net worth was. And I absolutely loved that video because she was able to share that, hey, we've been debt free for 2 years, and you know, or however long, and this is how much money we have in savings, this is how much we have in the equity of our home, this is what we have in these, and our net worth is $100,000, you know, or whatever it was. And it's like, yeah, and that's only after 2 years. So you know, or a few years. So imagine 20 years, you know, imagine what life is like without debt. That's why I'm so passionate about, you know, spreading the word of Dave Ramsey and having other people, you know, pay off their debt, because I'm like, you guys, like, it pays off. Again, we've only been debt free for, you know, almost 3 years, and we're in a great position financially. I'm not trying to brag, but my husband and I both work full time, and we have worked to be where we are now. And it's all because of Dave Ramsey's principles plus hard work equals where we are today. And so I can't even honestly imagine 5 years from now. I'm assuming that we would be in our home, throwing chunks of money at that to pay that off, and just still working the plan, and just having more wealth and a bigger network and net worth, and having more children, and just enjoying trips to Disney World every other year, and just living the real American dream, I guess you could say, which is, for me, the real American dream is being debt-free, paying cash for things, and having that financial peace. So that is it for the Q&A. There's a ton of questions, and I don't want to make this video too long, so maybe I can like do another video later on answering some other questions that I missed. But thanks so much for watching, you guys, and I will see you in another video.